Welcome, everyone, to Boldly Lead. I'm Kelly Corey. I am the director of the Master of Arts in Leadership program and the MBA program here at the University of Olivet, as well as a professor of business and a continually time challenged yet striving to be time effective human being. And I hope that our time together will be fruitful for you in learning a new way to think about time. So the time closet is a simple method for allocating time to the things that are most important to us. This learning event, the time closet, was inspired by a fellow professor who has been called the time management guru. It's an introduction to a new way to think about time. So some of you may be thinking that we're going to be talking about the time closet that was featured in SpongeBob. It's in the closet in Patrick's house, and the Star family oftentimes will time travel using this time closet. Well, unfortunately, this is not that type of workshop, but so if you're hoping, not today, folks. So what we're going to do today is we're going to think about time. And I've learned about time and using time effectively from the time management guru, Randy Pausch. He was a computer science professor at Carnegie Mellon University, and he delivered a speech in 2007 that was all about how to leverage time as the most valuable resource that we have. He delivered it as a beginning of the year keynote to students. And so students were able to learn some strategies for managing their time. I'm going to share just one of his strategies today with you. But before I do, I want to share a little bit more about Randy to honor his contribution to illuminating the value of time. So his lecture was really very unique, one of a kind that made the world stop and pay attention. It became an internet sensation that was viewed by millions of people. It was made into a book that has been translated into 35 different languages. He gave this speech because all of a sudden for him, time became a very important commodity as he was diagnosed with cancer. The speech went viral, and unfortunately, he passed away a few months after he gave the speech. So on the original website that promoted this lecture, there was a short article and a link to the time closet activity, which is a way to do exactly what Randy describes in his lecture, to consider time a limited resource and allocate it based on what's most important. Using that frame of mind, I've tried, sometimes successfully, sometimes not so much, to be effective in my use of time. And I just try to share his message as often as I can. His strategy and his technology has changed a little bit. Or the one that he suggested changed because the lecture was created almost 20 years ago, but the concept is the same. I hope that you will take the time to watch his lecture. It's long, it's about an hour and 16 minutes, but it's excellent. And I would say to listen to it, like podcast it, but really the visuals are excellent. And I'm going to share a few of those visuals today with you. The biggest ideas that Randy shares in his lecture, if you don't have time to view it, is that time is the only commodity that matters. He urged people to recognize the value of their time as it's a finite resource. He also suggests that we focus on priorities, figuring out what's most important and allocating time accordingly. And finally, creating a good filing system to help people stay organized and avoid wasted time. I have the links here in the slide deck for the video and transcript, for the slide deck and the video and the transcript, so that you have those resources. And I encourage you to share them because they're excellent. So a couple of the things that he shared, one was how to organize your office. And notice that those are the old school style monitors. But his thought was, and he said, get 3 monitors. His thought was, if you have your active working screen in the middle and you have your resources on your left and your calendar on your right, or you could switch those, then you've got everything you need to just stay productive and maintain productivity. he didn't have the internet and he didn't have all of those things that we have, but he also has some suggestions of how to not get distracted. So 3 monitors, a clear desk space, having a notepad so you can jot things down. You don't have to open an app to make a note, and also Post-it notes because they're movable and they're flexible and you can throw them away if once one is done. And so Post-its are really handy as well. They are still handy today. He also says that it's important for us as we are maximizing our time to also acknowledge and value the time that people have invested in us in order to be able to do the things that we do. And so he says to have a stack of thank you cards and stamps and an address book close by so that when someone does something great, 2 lines. Thank you so much for whatever it was. I so appreciate your investment in me. Sign your name, put on their address, put in the stamp, put it in the mailbox. All of a sudden, you have made that person's day by thanking them and making them feel valued. So that was something that I have taken away and tried to continue that practice. Another suggestion from Randy, some of them are hilarious. The lecture's funny. It's not dismal at all. It's very pragmatic, very real. He's like, people spend a lot of time just sitting around in other people's offices, teach people how to make it quick, train them what you expect, make your office comfortable for you, because you're going to be in there for a long time doing work, but also make it a little uncomfortable for people to hang out there. Maybe saw off the bottoms of the front legs of the chair so they have to balance, and it's hard to really get comfortable in there. So that one was tongue in cheek, and certainly in a relationship focused institution that we wouldn't want to recommend that. And and a lot of our offices have couches, and I think that's a really good idea because we want people to hang out. But maximizing that time and making sure that people are also contributing to that, maximizing the time. He also talks about scheduling yourself and leveraging that time, that you don't find time, you make the time. It doesn't just show up for you. So making sure that you are deliberate in choosing the minutes that you're using and how you use them. And everything that you choose creates an opportunity cost that you can't choose something else. And also learn to say no. That's one of my biggest challenges is people invite me to do things, or I offer to do things because I think I can add value, or because it's something exciting, or because I see that maybe they need help. So saying no is a difficult thing for me. So if it's something that you tend to use up all of your time doing things that aren't most important for that reason, it's kind of a behavior change or a thinking change. Interruptions was something that was super, super insightful when he talked about this in the video. And what he suggested was that every interruption you have takes between 6 and 9 minutes. Someone needs some help with something, or you need to deliver something to another place, or you get a phone call and you have to talk something through. That takes time, plus the recovery to get back to what you're doing. With 5 interruptions, you end up, there's an hour gone from your day. And so in the video, we give you some suggestions on how to rearrange your time so that you can chunk those things so that they are time efficient. I'm trying to give you previews so that you'll jump into the video. Also, this is something that I practice, not having audible reminders and even pop-ups on your phone, because those will take your attention away from what it is you're doing, and you'll have to bring your attention back, and that costs time. So keep those things in mind, and also notice the stars when you watch this video, and the stars here are the things that he thinks are most important investments in maximizing your time. So we're now moving toward we're now moving toward the strategy that I want to share with you. And it starts with figuring out how you use your time. And so Randy suggests creating a time journal, and it can be just a list with times on it. This time log is really valuable because you can just make check marks and make short notes, and it's very easy to decode. Understanding where our time goes really illuminates how important it is for us to manage it well. So this time audit allows us to see where all that time's going. Sometimes it's disheartening, but it's illuminating at the same time. So when Randy talks about time, he calls it a time famine. And he parallels it to famine in a starving nation. And he says you can airlift all the food and you can drop it off every week to solve that crisis, but you've only solved it for that moment in time. And the problem is systemic and you really need systemic solutions. So a time management solution that says, I'm gonna fix my time management issue in a week or even a day is laughable, just like fixing hunger in Africa is not going to happen in a week or a month or even a year. So thinking about long-term change, identifying the areas that are inefficient and identifying the areas that you can change by gathering this data can be really insightful. That can help you identify underlying processes that if you do them differently, you might be able to change the system and make it more effective and more efficient. So once you get this list of things that you do all day long, do that for a week and take a look at it and start identifying, get your highlighters out and identify what doesn't need to be done. What can somebody else do? What can I do more efficiently? Or maybe at a different time that would be more efficient for me. Maybe there are too many interruptions at the time I'm trying to do it. And how might I be wasting other people's time? And those things can help you to take this list of everything you do and distill it down into a plan of how to use your time more effectively. So he said, is it that we don't have enough time? And we said, not really. I don't think so, because he shared this quote from Walt Disney: if you could dream it, you can do it. Walt Disney led the creation of Disneyland, and it was built in 366 days. So is it really that there's not enough time, or is it that we're not managing our time and the people around us and the resources that we have most effectively? So something to think about. So at this point, what we're going to do is focus on what is that strategy and how do we strategically manage our time. So I've chosen to call the strategy the time closet after that article that I read, rather than that short article, rather than that time famine that Randy talked about, because of the Disney quote. Because it's not that we don't have time, it's that we haven't organized our time effectively. We have time. So based on what Randy taught, if we use the right approach, we can make a substantial impact in making it stretch farther and allow us to accomplish more things and accomplish them better. So for the rest of our time, we're going to work through this process, the beginning of it, and I'll share resources with you so that you can continue to polish and refine your strategy. So something I would like you to do is to go into your chat and grab the link. It's the Time Closet Worksheets link, and you can download that. I also can email it to you, kcorey@ulolivet.edu, if you'd like me to email it to you, so that you can use it for the exercise that we're going to be working on. So here's what we're going to do. First, we're going to identify what's most important after we do our time audit. So go ahead and do your audit and do that for a week and then get started on this. Then determine our best. We're going to determine our best time zones to do the most important things. So it could be that you work at a particular time better than another particular time on bigger projects. That's when we would schedule those projects. Then we're going to organize all of our tasks around these insights, what we've learned about ourselves and how we work. Then we're going to evaluate our results. We're going to start with a concept called the Eisenhower Matrix that was designed based on a quote by Dwight D. Eisenhower. And he says, what is important is seldom urgent, and what's urgent is seldom important. Think about that for a minute. What's important is seldom urgent, and what's urgent is seldom important. We think about the fires we have to put out. You know what? Yeah, we need to do it, but if we would have thought it through earlier and made it an important thing earlier, it wouldn't all of a sudden become a fire that we need to put out. So kind of think that through. So if we think about this matrix, think about that first column, the green and yellow, if we had a word on top of it, it would be important. And if we think across, we would have urgency. No, that's wrong. I'm gonna flip to the next screen because I'm spatially challenged. So think about this. So urgent, if the first column we're gonna call urgent, the second column we're gonna call not urgent. And then across the rows, the top row is important and the bottom row is not important. So think about that. So we're gonna make lists in each one of these boxes using the Word document that I sent you. So you can type in it as many things as you want. And so it can be a couple pages long. So in the do first quadrant, these are the things that are important and urgent. And those are things that are the most important things of our job. Those are making sure that our kids are fed, the things that we have to do in order to be successful in our work and in our life. So make a list of all those things. The things that have to be done today or have to absolutely be done every day or every week. The next square we're going to look at is the blue square. You know what, let's go back to the green square. In the green square, an example of this do first, I have to review this important document for my manager, or I have to get this proposal done by tomorrow. And it needs to be sent away. It's urgent, it has to be done right now. And it's important because it is important to fulfill my job responsibilities. So make a list of all of those things first. Then in the blue quadrant, we're gonna make a list of all the things that are really important for us to do for our work and for our life. But maybe we haven't scheduled them yet, but we want to hold time for them in our life on a regular basis. So an example could be your workouts, my workouts, let's say my workouts. So I want to schedule those workouts for 3 times a week. And so they're important and I want to make sure that I hold time for them. Something else I want to make sure I do is if I need to drive somewhere or walk somewhere or get somewhere to do what these important and urgent things are, any of these things are, schedule in the time. And to be thinking about maybe on your list, put how many minutes. We're not scheduling them yet, but put how many minutes it will take to travel and then how long of a time that particular thing lasts. So you've got a full block of time that is reserved, and you don't have it on your calendar, and then all of a sudden someone schedules a meeting with you and it bumps up against that thing that you've got scheduled. If you don't have your travel time in there, all of a sudden you can't do that thing that you love because you didn't schedule in that travel time because you have to go to that meeting and you can't cancel the meeting because it's the boss's boss's boss or something. So so make sure you put travel time in there. And then something else to think about is most really effective time managers leave fewer things unplanned. They plan as many things as they can, and they try to manage most of the work in the second quadrant. So the things in the second quadrant eventually get put into the green quadrant on the schedule. They get taken off and put on the schedule, and they're important. They become important and urgent. They have to get done at a certain time. So put everything that's important to do in that blue box, and then you will manage it from there. And then, so you'll move it to a less urgent date. You'll put on a less urgent date. Eventually it'll get to the top of the to-do list, depending on where it is on the calendar. The third quadrant is delegate. So these are things that are less important for you to do. It's just that they get done. They're important, but they're not urgent. They're urgent. They have to get done, but they're not important for you to do. It's for anyone to do them. And so thinking about something that if you have an intern or a graduate student, or if there's someone who can do this job better and more effectively than you, and they would benefit from having that job on their list that they can put on their accomplishments, delegate it to them. So for example, I'm hosting the Courageous Leadership Colloquium next month, and we lost our IT person who had helped me manage it last year. So I'm thinking, great, now I have to figure out how to manage all of the Zoom requirements as well as being the host of this program. Well, I met a person who was one of our new IT folks. And I said, so tell me, what's your jam? What do you really love to do? And what have you done? Where have you come from? And he said, well, I have managed the AV and technology for online and live meetings for 20 years. And I said, oh, guess what? I have a favor. And he said, yeah, I would love to. Absolutely love to. So kind of keeping an inventory of who do you know and what value can they bring and what value can you add to their life as well? How can you agree to help them out and do some back scratching back and forth? So delegate to other folks so that it gets done, but also make sure that you put on your calendar what day that thing needed to be done, just so you can go back and check so that no balls are dropped. If something has been handed to you, but you decide to hand it off to someone else, it's important probably to let that person know that they gave it to you. You know what? I decided this person's going to do it because they're going to be better at it and they're going to add more value. But then you are responsible ultimately for checking back to make sure that got done. So that's going to take you less time though than doing that particular thing. Another thing you can do is now you can start to leverage AI for things that used to take a whole lot of time. So for example, as a professor, I'm asked to write lots and lots of letters of recommendation for students for graduate school and for jobs and for scholarships. And I used to ask them to send me their resume. I would read their resume. I would highlight all of the things about them. I would think about what I know about them in class and my interactions with them. And I would craft all of this into a letter and I would proofread it, and took about an hour for each student. And if I got 15 at the end of the semester, that took a lot of time that I could be spending more time with students, helping them with their projects. So now I take the student's resume, I put it into ChatGPT, I take the job description or requirements for the scholarship, put that into ChatGPT as another document, and I write a short paragraph about what I know personally about this student in my work with them and what really shines for them. And I put all that into ChatGPT and boom, less than 5 seconds, I have the copy for a letter of recommendation. I put onto my letterhead with my signature. I send it off where it needs to go. And it's now cut off 50 minutes of that 1 hour that I needed to put toward that effort. So AI is going to give you some great opportunities to shave off time. Google or get into ChatGPT and ask, what's a faster way for me to do this? Bam, you're going to get all kinds of tools because they're out there. That's what we need to be using our AI for, not to do our work as us, but to help us to be more effective in taking our knowledge, our experience, our support and connections with other people, being our thought leader and our productivity assistant to help us do these things even more effectively. We ultimately are responsible for making sure that what is produced represents us, our institution, and the information validly. We need to be transparent, and we need to make sure that it's representing us well. And in the event that that we need to provide sources, we need to make sure that we keep those sources. So I kind of went off on a tangent there, but it's really a great piece of value for you. I will be doing some webinars on AI coming up in the next several months. So we'll be letting you know more about that for some different tools that you can use to be more effective. So the last quadrant, the red quadrant, don't do it. Don't do it. So thinking about the things that we do that use up our time. I love the reels. I love the Facebook reels. I watch them. I save all of the cooking ones for all of the healthy food. And I save all of the workout ones. If it's a 5-minute workout that could accomplish what you used to accomplish in 30 minutes, I'm saving those as well. So I get stuck in those. And then of course I watch the people on mountains and I watch the horse ones. So as you can tell, that's my time suck right there. Figuring out those things that all of a sudden capture our attention and drag us away from those things that are important. As we're doing that time audit, we're identifying what those are. And now it's time for us to put the hammer down, to lay down the law for ourselves and say, you know what, we're going to change how we use this time because we could get a whole lot more value out of it if we used it differently. And maybe even carve out 25 minutes at the end of the week, or maybe carve out 10 minutes with an alarm to look stuff up on Facebook, or do some Amazon shopping, or watch a YouTube video. Or if you love the new movies as they come out, or if you have a show that you binge, carve that out every, maybe twice a week, and give yourself that time. But so I don't want to say don't do it, because all of a sudden now we feel like we're like handcuffing ourselves and not giving ourselves that autonomy. But the more you can manage those unmanaged minutes, the more effective you're going to be. So identify those things that aren't urgent or important, and they are just using up time that you could use better. Make sure that you identify those in this list, and then think about how you can schedule them. So right now, if you're doing this process, you have a list, right? You've got a list that shows what are the things that you absolutely have to do. So for me, I have to teach class, I have to prep for class, I have to do student advising, I have to do all of these things, I have to cook food, I have to go to these meetings, and there are more. This is just a quick list. Your list is going to get pretty long. So these are things that I just have to, in my schedule, I have to block those. So that's on my list. So things that are also important, but I don't have to do them right now, and they don't have to be on my calendar right now, I'm going to schedule. So these are things I have walk or workout on my calendar every day. Elizabeth, who's my granddaughter, and I absolutely have to hang out with her because she's the coolest little human ever. And so spending time with her twice a month. So I carve out time to do that. She was about an hour away. And I have horse that I ride, and that's my focusing on something that's hard, that's not doing work. And I think that's important for me. And then also things that in my job are not things I need to do right now, but I know that in the next year, there are some things that I'm going to want to redesign and reformat. And so those are the things I'm going to schedule time, but I don't have to do them right now. Financial planning meetings, those are things that need to be scheduled out. Also, sending fun things to my kids at the holidays, that's something that's important, and I don't want to forget. So that's something I'll have on my list that I can schedule for a couple weeks before Valentine's Day, Halloween, those kinds of things. So they're big kids, but they still love fun stuff. So that's my schedule. And my delegate, these are things that I can have other people do, or I can have AI help me with. And then don't do my movie watching and scrolling, or things that tend to suck up my time. So once I have this all done, we did our lists that are important. We did our list of the things that need to be done. Oh, we did all of our important things first. And now we have our list of things that don't need to be done right now. I just said that twice. And then the things that someone else could do, or we can automate using AI, or things that don't serve, and then the things that don't serve any purpose. And here's something that I did for this exercise. And I encourage you to do it as well. These are all the things that I've looked at my calendar, I've looked at my to-do list, I did my time audit, and maybe there's something that I forgot. So I'm going to ask ChatGPT to give me a list of typical activities organized by the Eisenhower matrix. So it will actually tell me which quadrant to put it in. And I did this, but I actually moved them around a little bit. For a 56-year-old wife, mom, grandma, college professor, who loves nature and camping, has a part-time horse that she rides an hour away, and a chocolate lab dog. So those are the things that all of those things together is where I got my matrix. So now I've got my matrix. Now it's time for me to schedule it. So how do we do that part? First, open up your Outlook, your weekly calendar, yikes, and see what's there. So this is actually a screen capture from Randy Pausch's lecture. So get out your Outlook calendar. You're not going to make any changes to your current Outlook calendar, because you don't want to start moving things around, because you don't want to lose anything. But have your list out of your quadrants and open up, and call it an untitled calendar in Outlook. Or if you don't want to do this on Outlook, in that Microsoft Word document that's in the chat, there's the beginning of a weekly calendar. It's got the days up at the top, You put the times down the side and you can put blocks. You can organize blocks of time throughout that to experiment, excuse me, to experiment with the time. And then you can move things into your Outlook calendar. So here's your closet, just like organizing your shoes, organizing your pants, making sure that you've got all of your colors the way you want them. You're organizing your time in that very same way. So you've got your untitled calendar, and you're going to use your time to the best of its advantage. So for example, when I'm working on a big project, I will work best between 10 p.m. and 3 a.m. And that's from being a mom with little ones. And I was also working at the same time and I was writing grants. And that takes a sustained amount of quiet time with no interruptions. And so that was the time when my kids were in bed. Nobody needed me. I spent time with my whole family. And so now it was time for me to sit down and do this work. And so there was a lot of coffee that happened at that time as well. But that's the time that I would block out for something like that. So use your full 24 hours and be strategic. Make sure that you get your rest, make sure that you get your exercise and some downtime, but use the whole calendar in the way that makes the most sense for you. So the first thing you want to do is you want to schedule the things that you're going to do first, the things that are already scheduled or things that are ongoing commitments that you have to show up for or you have to complete. Order all of those, and I wouldn't turn them green. I actually would classify them by their function or their affiliation. So I have my work functions, I teach undergraduate and graduate courses, so I have undergraduate responsibilities and graduate responsibilities. And I have community, and I code them by color, and then I have family and I have personal. So come up with some categories so it's easy to see on your Outlook calendar. Focus on ones you have that you already need, you know when they're going to be. Then go back to your list, your Eisenhower matrix, and choose times for the things that you need to get done. Think about how much time they need and then block it out strategically, maybe twice a week, 3 times a week, over 4 weeks. And maybe it's not due for 6 weeks, but seeing if you can get it done early, so then that will free up your time. So planning out your workload is part of the strategy as well. So you're not trying to get everything done in 24 hours. So schedule your things that are most important to you in a way that most effectively uses your time. And then with your delegate, go through each one of those items and identify the things that someone else can do and send an email and say, hey, I'm wondering if you need permission. Make sure you get permission if it's not something you can just hand off, if there's a level of discretion that's necessary. And then send an email. I'm wondering if I could get your help with this. And then delegate what you can delegate, leverage AI for what you can, and make sure that you cite and reference AI wherever you're required to do so, so that you're giving evidence of where that information came from. But use it as a thought partner, as an organizer. And then the don't do's, as I mentioned, we're not going to try to clean up everything so that you're using every single minute as perfectly as you can. We're trying to be more effective. Part of being more effective is giving yourself some time to just relax and take advantage of things that are enjoyable for you. So if watching a movie is enjoyable, schedule it. If scrolling or shopping on Amazon is enjoyable, schedule it. If not, then don't. It will save time, save money. So put all of these things on your schedule. Take a deep breath, go get an iced tea, sit on the porch, rock in the chair for a minute, let your brain rest. And this isn't going to take one day. It's going to take probably a week to work through this process. And once you have this all put together, then I want you to set 2 timers or 2 calendar items, one for a week from that day when you finish your first draft of your time closet. A week later, you want a reminder on there. I would say turn on the Audible so it reminds you and you hear it and you don't skip it. And you're going to take 10 minutes and you're going to evaluate, I would say 10 minutes to 25 minutes. You're going to evaluate how well your schedule worked for you. And if it worked well, celebrate, do something fun, reward yourself. If it didn't work well at all, schedule an hour or maybe an hour and a half to reconfigure. If it worked pretty well, make some adjustments and continue moving forward. And then take that appointment time that you made or that reminder time that you made and move it to a week later. So you can reevaluate again. So you're going to do that 3 times so that you evaluate yourself for 3 weeks on how your time closet is working for you. And then a month from that day, you want to set a reminder as well. And you're going to do an overall evaluation and you're going to identify how has your life changed since you started this process and since you implemented this strategy to maximize the use of your time. And you're going to celebrate and you're really excited about it. And you're going to move that after your month, you're going to get rid of those weekly check-ins. You're still going to, use those weekly check-ins to update your schedule, to go back and update your schedule for the following week and make some adjustments. 30 days after that, you're going to again celebrate how your life has changed because of using this system. And also, you're going to start building a story that you can tell to maybe your interns at your work or your graduate students, to your high school and college age kids, to tell them how you manage your time and you're happy to share it with them so that they can maximize their time as well. So building that story can then now help other people become more effective and efficient, and y'all can work together even better. So at this point, you have a tool, you have a worksheet. I'm going to send you some notes and the PowerPoint presentation so that you've got the links to the Randy Pausch lecture. And you now have an opportunity to get started. So here's what I would suggest for you in terms of what's next. Watch or listen to the Randy Pausch lecture. I would say definitely watch so that you can see the slides and download the slides so you can keep them. Do a time journal, or just simply watch the hours of count the hours of watching and scrolling. I would do a full-time journal and then do a time audit. Go through all of your calendars to identify all of the things that you're doing using that, using a weekly calendar to audit your time. Then use that Eisenhower matrix to put your to-do list, all of the things that need your time into a priority order using that Eisenhower matrix. Leverage your Outlook tools so that they can help you to become more effective and efficient with your time. And then make a note on your calendar and ask, what have I changed? What's different in my life because of using this process? Thank you so much for joining me to learn this process. I hope it has been valuable for you, and I am happy to share any additional resources. Feel free to reach out. kcorey@newolivet.edu. Some things I'd like you to think about as you're thinking about how you lead and how you're helping other people grow as leaders. Some opportunities through the University of Olivet. First, we've got our Master of Arts in Leadership and our Master of Business Administration programs. Today was the first day of the fall cohort for those. I'm super excited in welcoming our new folks to the program. Those are both 33 credit hour programs that you can finish in as short as a year. Average is about a year and a half. And we have concentrations and certificates in each of those programs. In the Master of Arts in Leadership, you learn your core concepts of leadership, about 21 credit hours, your 7 courses in your core concepts of how to lead. And then you'll focus on creativity, innovation, and change, or nonprofit leadership and management, or sport coaching leadership, or we can create a custom concentration based on your interests and based on our course offerings in our Master of Arts in Leadership and our MBA program. We also, in our MBA, have concentrations and certificates in accounting, in enterprise risk management, insurance, sport and recreation management. And we also have a custom concentration option that if we wanted to formulate a concentration with any of our courses. So I'd like you to keep in mind also If you are an undergraduate or have someone in your life who is an undergraduate student at the University of Olivet, these programs can be taken as dual level or accelerated programs, where up to 12 of the credit hours can be used for both your undergrad and your graduate programs. So for example, both of these programs have an organizational behavior class in them. And you have an organizational behavior class if you're a business major in your undergraduate program. So you can substitute your master's level for your undergrad level, and you can kill two birds with one stone. Don't kill birds, but you can use that for both. You can do that for up to 12 credit hours. And then if you have transferred in a bunch of credits, maybe from a community college, or you have transferred from another institution and you have eligibility and you believe that you can be here for another year, or maybe even a semester, you can do your 12 credit hours during your undergraduate study. And you can save one of those credit hours, and you can then finish the rest of your master's program as an undergraduate, and then take that last undergraduate class on your last semester. So you're still an undergrad, you still got your eligibility to participate in sports, and you will still be a full-time student eligible to live in our residence halls. And you'll be leaving the University of Olivet with 2 degrees, your undergraduate bachelor's degree and your master's degree. If you would like to talk more about those, reach out to me, kcorey@uolivet.edu. I'd be happy to talk through that with you, if you're a student, or with you as a parent of a student, and we can maybe get together with the student and talk about that more. So that's one opportunity. Another one is our leadership learning community, which is available to anyone who has access to Canvas. And if you simply go into Canvas and search for leadership learning community, it is a resource center that has articles and videos and toolboxes about different leadership skills, knowledge, and abilities. It has a library of leadership thought leader videos, just really cool people who are leading in different aspects. And also it has discussion forums where you can talk about different leadership topics with folks around the university. You're welcome to jump in at any time. You just sign up by signing into that course. And if you've got questions of that, feel free to reach out. Finally, coming up next month, September 24th and 25th, we have 25 leadership thought leaders from around the world, literally around the world. We have some folks who are community activism leaders in Kenya right now, and they are trying to protect the path, the migration route of the great wildebeest migration, where millions of wildebeests and zebras and other animals have to cross this river. And the Marriott Hotel is trying to, they actually have built part of their resort through that wildebeest migration. So they're coming, and we have another 23 other speakers, everything from sport coaching leadership, how to coach youth sports, how to have courageous conversations with parents. If you're an educator, if you're a coach, if you're a professor. We have folks that will be speaking about authentic leadership, neurodivergent leadership, the history of Olivet as a courageous leadership building school. Got folks that are going to come and talk about collaborating courageously, building a courageous brand, building a bold brand, lots of different opportunities. So it's all virtual, all online. You are welcome to zap that QR code and register. You'll get a link to the entire 2 days of virtual programming, and you can jump in and out as much as you wish. So with that, I am so happy to have had the opportunity to share this skill with you of managing your time effectively. And I look forward to seeing you again soon. Thanks for joining. Have a great afternoon.